Roll call. Mrs. Zara, absent. Director Megani. Director Khan, absent. Director Badouaj.
Absent.
Director Benson.
Present.
Director Salisbury.
Present.
Senator Ballard.
Present.
Senator Mohammed.
Absent.
Senator Sneak.
Here.
Senator Growley.
Present.
Senator O'Hara. Senator Carter.
Present.
Vice Chair Chakraborty.
Present.
Director Khan.
Present.
Thank you.
Advisor Snyder. So I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Vice Chair Chakraborty.
Motion to accept the agenda.
Is there a second? Senator Ballard. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Any abstention? Agenda is approved as presented. So there won't be an approval of the previous meeting minutes, because we don't have the previous meeting minutes. And the recall of members, the appointment of members will be done towards the end of the meeting. Director report. Director Salisbury.
So, let me just get it up. As far as general report, got the flyer for the Chancellor Search Advisory approved by Faith. It's been revised for the new times, so that has already been posted on social media. And then I've been managing our social media presence still, just keeping up to date with events going on. And then working on collecting bios to update the SG wants to do it.
Director Ogle.
So I've been working on the attendance and target section, and because of a new update that I made this week actually, I plan on being, I think that it's finally solidified with the final version that I want to end up eventually presenting. But I want to discuss it with the entire student government body after this meeting today. It might take about 5 minutes just to go over it real quick. And with that, I do.
Director Megani.
So, Fire Pit has been, we worked on our prices and we worked on getting the food together. So now it's just a matter of getting a senator to write a bill to do the prices and the food, which will be done next.
Thank you. Director Khan.
Apologies for being late, first of all. Yesterday we had our planning board meeting. We approved 3 BSOs worth around 2,275. The organizations we approved are American Society for Mechanical Engineers, the Chemistry Club, and NSLS. So with that, our budget remaining for the semester is $11,528.70. Thank you.
Director Benson.
Last weekend, Director Ogle, Vice President Jara, and President Ganda and I all went to the United Student Government Conditioning Conference in Dearborn. We were able to sit in on some breakout sessions and converse with student government representatives from other campuses. Some highlights were the new Title IX guidelines. Overall, the new guidelines are less stringent than those that were implemented by the Obama administration. So pieces of the guidelines could be considered harmful and cause additional distress and victims of sexual violence. Some campuses have had protests against these guidelines, and some administrations have even taken steps to follow some parts of the old guidelines. So hopefully all of our institutions can kind of work together to encourage our institutions to take on policies that will still protect students, even though those Title IX guidelines are less stringent. So we also talked about sustainability efforts. Each school kind of highlighted what their school is doing as far as green energy and trying to be just more sustainable. One thing that we pointed out along with Dearborn and Ann Arbor was the carbon neutrality resolution that we passed last semester. They also brought up lobbying day, which is Wednesday, March 20th. It will run from 8:30 in the morning until 3:30. I can email anyone the link to register for that if you're interested in going. Some schools are providing transportation. I don't believe we're doing anything like that. But just so you can have it on your radar. The One You campaign is having a coalition meeting on campus next Thursday, 4:30 to 6. It'll be in French Hall, room 111. I encourage you to attend and invite other students. On Tuesday, some of the members of the coalition spoke at Central Student Government meeting. The assembly seemed pretty receptive, and hopefully we can work together on that along with them. The first Students of Michigan Committee meeting will take place this Saturday in Ann Arbor. Most of the meeting will focus on drafting bylaws and getting a grasp of the common issues on our campuses. But if you have anything that you want me or Director O to bring to the committee, please let us know so we can get it put on that agenda. And then we will also have a second read of SR 2019-01 tonight. Last week I sent out a bunch of proposed amendments, so hopefully you have a chance to look over those.
Thank you, Dr. Benson. Thank you, Dr. Badouaj, for joining us. Do you have any report?
Yes, so for the student concerns that we have received from student survey, there were roughly around 7 categories that we had worked on in the committee. Most of these relate to facility and higher administration regarding budgets and academic transcripts. I'll be setting up appointments with the concerned administration to get those resolved. If all the appointments are set in due time, I plan to finish these by March 15th. We're also going to be having next student meet and greet next Thursday from 1 to 4. And with that, I yield.
Thank you. Advisor Snyder.
Just want to remind people that we have moved into the campaigning phase for the student government election, and the first candidate open forum is Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock in the student loft. Breakfast will be served, so please come and hear from the candidates about their platforms, and there will be 2 other Meet the Candidates after spring break, and keep an eye on your email for updates about that. The other piece is that the Chancellor Open Forum is taking place at the same time as the candidate, meet the candidates. So if you need to split those events, if you want to provide feedback to the committee as they continue the search for the new Chancellor. And with that, I yield.
Vice Chair Chakawala.
Reports.
Senator Carter. Reports. Senator.
I emailed Samantha more to ask her if she know of any other speaker secretary and the labor reference event.
Senator Smith.
Yesterday in Senate meeting, we discussed the affordability guide. We narrowed the table of content down to 5 categories, which are 6 categories. I'm sorry. Introduction, employment, school supplies, resources on campus, finance, housing, and living expenses. And I'll be taking on the finance part of it, and getting that information together. When I get that, I did create the Google Docs, and I did send that out so everybody can do their part and edit it as we get the information. So please, if you got any new information every week, we're trying to do it, update it every week. So if you got information, just go on there, upload or edit what you have, and then once we get it together, we'll present it, a rough draft of it. With that, I yield.
Senator Carter.
So Advisor Steiner and I had a brief conversation last week more about the SIS scholarships. And I believe at the moment, we're just waiting until the resolution process starts. But
Senator Rowley.
So this week I'm planning to move into my caucus and start calling other universities to inquire about their housing application and see what changes we can make to ours and see what works for them and what doesn't. And then I also have been addressing some concerns that I've been hearing from students in the residence halls and that have been reported on the Student Concerns Committee. I yield.
Thank you. Senator O'Neill.
I was able to speak to Heather and Sarah at CGS, and they're very excited about the idea, and we're hoping just speak to them this coming week about how we're going to what kind of things we want to talk about. I will be having a meeting with Ms. Matlock as well from housing, just to discuss if there's anything we can do with housing to advance the process. I also spoke to Valerie at CAPS to hear what she had to say about the idea, and I will be meeting her as well next week to just finalize ideas.
Let me just get, can you expand on the idea, I'm not sure if you remember.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So my whole idea is to help first-year students coming into college to make healthier decisions in order to have a successful academic career and not just focus on the social aspects of college.
Thank you. Moving on to university committee reports. Are there any university committee reports? Director Salisbury.
So the Google Migration Advisory Board met on Monday, and the project manager and ITS discussed what the current phase of the Google migration is. So right now, they have migrated their first 3 pilot faculty and staff departments. So that'll be OEL, the University Advancement Library, and they're going to move on to the next 2 groups after that. They also sent out an email blast to the faculty and staff that will soon go out to the entire campus about switching to the @UMich email addresses. So when you send an email to somebody, you will be sending it to their unique name @UMich instead of @UM-Flint. This process will help with like some of the complications of the 2 systems. If you just send it to UMich even before the migration happens, there won't be any issues since one forwards to the other. And then the student migration, the plan has changed a little bit as far as ITS's approach to it. So now they're going to be handling the backend data migration, and there's an exact timeline for it. It will still be self-service. So once Gmail is activated for students, the students are going to make the decision whether or not to migrate their data from Outlook to Gmail. It's going to be on a portal on a website. And then the rough timeline that I was given, it's subject to change and it's not final. But at the end of the semester, what will happen is ITS is first going to force the password sync. So I don't know how many people are aware of that, but you will need to change your password so that it's the same between UMich and UM-Flint. And what they're going to do is anybody who has a password that's over a year old at the end of the semester, they're going to expire the old password and force you to change it. So that is something that we can take feedback on if that's a concern for some students as well. So after that, the Google products will be made available. So the Gmail and calendar will be made available for students to use. So you can start sending Gmail. And then the portal will be made available so you can migrate your old emails to Gmail. And then at the end of the year, they're going to be deactivating Outlook. So you're not going to be able to send mail through Outlook any longer, but you'll still be able to log into it and view old mail if you do that migrate. So we can, in the when we open the floor to comments, I can take feedback from whether or not students want to keep their data on Outlook, or if people really care, like if they want to get a fresh start on Gmail and just not worry about their old emails, or if people really do want to be migrating old stuff to the new service. So that's some feedback that I'd like to gather. And we are also going to be working on publication work as well. So making flyers, publicizing the event, posting everything on social media, making prints, and even working with M Times to get a story printed about Google migration. That are you.
Thank you, Director Sarisuri. Are there any new reports? Director Benson?
The General Education Curriculum Committee met this afternoon. A lot of our discussion was still about how we could improve the curriculum process. We're going to kind of pass those suggestions on to the registrar's office. The committee is also going to ask representatives from each unit to create a flow chart for how the unit handles Gen Ed distribution requests before they get to the GCC. So that can kind of help that process as well, because right now, for a course of the Gen Ed designation request, it has to go through a lot of steps on curriculum, and sometimes those units aren't getting notified. And what happens is, like this year, it was really a rush to get everything through the GECC and then out to the other units before the catalog deadline. If that deadline is missed, then it won't be able to go into the next catalog. For the GECC motions that were distributed to all of the units, the only unit that we're still waiting on to hear back from for their votes is the College of Arts and Sciences. They did send a letter to the committee saying that they would be discussing these at their next meeting. So they're gonna vote on March 14th, and then the GECC will present the results of the motions to governing faculty on March 22nd. The committee also discussed whether or not an additional vote on the motions will actually be needed, since those motions have been sent to each unit. All of the faculty have actually had a chance to vote on them, so we still have to kind of figure out whether another vote from governing faculty will need to take place. We also discussed the process for FYE course evaluations. We're going to start face-to-face conversations with instructors and peer evaluators at our March 28th meeting, and then we set our next meeting date for March 14th at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Director Benson. Senator Carter?
Yes, I covered for Vice President Jura on the campus parking and traffic advisory committee. It met on Wednesday, and while I was not able to attend the whole meeting, it covered visitor parking and the safe road program. For visitor parking, the committee discussed the need for new signage in the parking spaces, and as many of them are dilapidated and in some cases fairly legible. So importance was placed on both getting the new signs and making sure they're all uniform to give the university a more professional look. And as such, we discussed getting the new signs from the Ann Arbor sign shop. The signage at the Middle Street parking complex will also be taken down as the complex is soon to be closed for renovations. I cannot give information on when that will be taking place. In general, those discussed that more signs are needed around campus to make it easier to navigate. And Chief Greyhold stressed the importance of the that's emergency services to navigate the university and emergency. For the safe program, the committee went over some figures, the latest figures for the program. There have been over 1,300 confirmed uses of safe ride this semester. And of the book rights, there is a 0.4% cancellation rate of a higher rate among app users. There are around 300 regular app users, with the majority of them being students. And we can rise to the Swartz Creek Meyer and the Jensen by Mole and Hester circuit with details detailing the pickup location as well as the departure time and pickup times can be found on the My website under the safe right tab. And talks of, and maybe also talked about potentially expanding the zone of safe right to include some hospitals and areas for student workers to engage in programs for nursing program. Thank you.
I have a question. Did you say there's more cancellation with the app?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Yes, overall, all of the book rights as the prime purpose is in cancellation of rate of rights.
Mhm.
And mobile app users and have a higher percentage.
Thank you. Senator Biden.
I realize that's like a percentage, but it might not be entirely accurate, because a lot of students cancel rides when their ride takes too long to like update or anything. So they cancel and put in like 6 more rides and then cancel each one of them. So it might just be like 5-10%, but the app is showing 24%.
Senator Leader.
Another thing is, I don't know if the cancellations are necessarily a negative thing, because I know that, they've spoken about how they, do not appreciate how like they will, somebody will call for a ride and then they will not be there. So when you cancel it, it's like, cool, so now the person wouldn't even have to come to you. So the canceling might be a positive thing, because now the drivers will just come there and then wait for nothing and then come back.
Thank you. Okay. I now yield the floor to Director Denston to present Senate Resolution 2019. That is yours. No.
I want us to read it and then again and then do the amendments?
Yeah.
So this has the edits on it, but we'll read it and then we will talk about the amendments, or proposed amendments, and then do that. Senate Resolution 2019-001. Noting the University of Michigan should unequivocally support both its faculty and students, the university must encourage the academic freedom and rigorous decision-making of its faculty, entrusting in them the task of working with diligence, thoughtfulness, inclusiveness, and to responsibly remain intentional with this power. The purpose faculty serve in the classroom is to place emphasis on the growth of students through challenging discussion, embracing new ideas, and diversifying the trajectories put in place in order to empower students and provide them with increased opportunities to grow. Whereas the University of Michigan seeks to promote equal representation, inclusivity, transparency, and for the faculty to continue working to create equitable spaces and platforms for all students to feel validated. And noting the University of Michigan has historically acted as a beacon of hope for domestic and international movements by encouraging student activism and being a proponent of social change. The fight for justice is a struggle that has been recognized and supported by this institution, who prides itself on dedicatedly working to aid these movements, such as the anti-apartheid effort in South Africa. And whereas in August 2018, Associate Professor John Cheney Lippel agreed to write a letter of recommendation for a student to study abroad. However, he later declined in September 2018 after learning that the student intended to study at Tel Aviv University in Israel. And whereas in October 2018, graduate student instructor Lucy Peterson declined to write a letter of recommendation for a student who also intended to study at Tel Aviv University in Israel. And whereas Associate Professor Cheney Lippel and GSI Peterson cited their own political beliefs regarding the state of Israel, human rights violations against Professor Cheney Lippel specifically, and Professor Cheney Lippel specifically cited his participation in the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. And whereas Associate Professor Cheney Lippel cited his membership in the American Studies Association as another reasoning for rescinding his offer to write the letter of recommendation. And whereas in December 2013, Curtis Perez, the president of the American Studies Association, released a statement in defense of the boycott, saying, "We are targeting Israeli universities because they work closely with the government and military in developing weapons and other technology that are used to enforce the occupation and colonization of Palestinian land, while university-associated think tanks develop political and communication strategies to advance government aims and defend them internationally. The fact is that universities are active participants in and important enablers of Israel's repressive, unjust, and illegal policies toward the Palestinians. Whereas the BDS movement is actively boycotting Israeli businesses and Israeli academic institutions due to their assertion that many businesses and universities are complicit or actively supporting the Israeli military and state in human rights violations against Palestinian citizens, and noting numerous reports confirm that human rights violations against Palestinian citizens have occurred.
and noting in 2001, the Human Rights Watch published a report that stated how the Israeli government operates two separate school systems, one for Israeli citizens and one for Palestinians that carry Israeli citizenship, and found an enormous difference of funding between these two systems. The report also detailed discrimination at every level of the education, when out a progressively larger proportion of Palestinian Arab children. And noting another report was published in 2010 by the Human Rights Watch called Israel, West Bank, Separated and Unequal, where the Deputy Director of External Relations in HRW reported Palestinians face systematic discrimination merely because of their race, ethnicity, and national origin, depriving them of electricity, water, schools, and access to roads, and nearby Israeli settlers enjoy all of these state-provided benefits. And whereas the University of Tel Aviv has developed the Hidya doctrine, which disproportionately targets government and civilian infrastructure during military operations and has been used in the Lebanese war and the siege of Gaza. Tel Aviv University has also developed other weapon systems for the Israeli military that have been used in continuing conflicts with Palestinians. And whereas other international universities have boycotted Israeli universities, in 2011, the University of Johannesburg severed ties with Ben Gurion University in Israel, as the university's Senate had found significant evidence that BGU had research and other engagements supporting Israel's military, in particular its occupation of Gaza. Noting these reports further emphasize that Professor Cheney Lipple's support of the BDS movement is a principled stance against the nation state of Israel and not an issue of identity as suggested by the university. Whereas in October 2018, the University of Michigan disciplined Associate Professor Cheney Lipplewood by stripping him of his eligibility for a merit-based raise for the 2018-19 academic year and delaying his sabbatical for 2 years, including canceling his planned sabbatical for winter semester 2019. It was also made clear that any further actions of this nature would be punishable up to and including dismissal from the university. And whereas Elizabeth Cole, interim dean at the University of Michigan's College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, stated faculty are not required to write letters of recommendation for every student who requests them and have discretion to decline for legitimate reasons such as a lack of time, information about the student, and academic assessment. Elizabeth Cole went on to say that discretion, though, does not extend to withholding a letter because of your personal views regarding the student's place of study. Whereas the limitation of discretion is not supported by any language in the U of M Standards and Practice Guide, Faculty Handbook, or Statement of Student Rights and Responsibilities. Whereas the Senate Advisory Committee on University Affairs is an organization comprised of multiple faculty members that are responsible for creating the guidelines for letters of recommendation. Regarding the issue, SACWA released a statement on October 23rd stating the executive arm of the Central Faculty Governance System believes the faculty members have the right to reject writing letters of recommendation that go against their personal backgrounds or beliefs, and the decision to write letters must remain in the hands of faculty members. Whereas letters of recommendation are important to academic success, but no university policy indicates that a student is entitled to a letter of recommendation from a professor. Whereas the U of M Flint mission statement states our commitment to advancing our local and global communities' academic conduct to further support advocating on behalf of faculty and entrusting in them the ability to foster educational spaces for students to be challenged, to promote equal representation, inclusivity, transparency, and for faculty to continue working to create equitable spaces and platforms for all students to feel validated. And whereas we believe actions such as those taken by Associate Professor Cheney Lipplewood and GSI Peterson are in accordance with the values expressed in the mission statement. Whereas the University of Michigan has punished Associate Professor Cheney Lipplewood for taking a political stance, while hypocritically the university has taken a stance when President Sisel stated the University of Michigan strongly opposes a boycott of Israeli academic institutions. And whereas student government at the University of Michigan-Flint, student government at the University of Michigan Dearborn, and central student government at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor passed a resolution urging U of M to form a commission to investigate divesting from companies in Israel profiting off of the violation of Palestinian human rights. However, as of the original say November 2018, U of M has formed no such commission. The refusal to form a divestment commission and the decision to condemn the BDS movement suggests that U of M has taken a pro-Israel stance in the broader issue of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And whereas it has been reported that pro-Israel group Halal had their demands more quickly recognized by leadership at the Board of Regents, in September 2018, Michigan Halal released a statement responding to the letter of recommendation issued at U of M and in statement Michigan Halal states, our halal has been actively engaged on this issue with the provost office and other university leadership. And whereas there was a report of a meeting between the Board of Regents and pro-Palestinian group Students Allied for Freedom and Equality, however, no demands were met. This further emphasizes that the university is taking a pro-Israel stance. And whereas President Slusher referred to Associate Professor Cheney Lugo's decision to refuse to write the letter of recommendation is anti-Semitic. However, Cheney Lugo stated in his email, "Let me know if you need me to write a letter of recommendation for you, as I'd be happy." This shows this decision was based on politics, not personal or religious identity. Whereas we strongly oppose the conflation of being Jewish, a religion, and ethnic identity, of being Zionist or pro-Israel, and political nationalist ideology, we assert that criticizing the state of Israel is political and not a religious matter. Criticizing or taking a political stance against the nation state of Israel is not an anti-Semitic act, and therefore be it resolved, we demand the University of Michigan administration overturn the disciplinary actions taken against Dr. John Cheney Lippold, as well as any disciplinary actions that have been taken against Lucy Peterson. And be it further resolved, we demand the University of Michigan administration enact a policy across all 3 University of Michigan campuses that ensures the ability of all university employees serving in faculty positions to have academic freedom, and the decision to write letters of recommendation for students without the possibility of disciplinary actions being taken against them. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the University of Michigan Board of Regents, and in addition to President Schlissel, and be it finally resolved that this resolution is in line with the University of Michigan's deeply held principles of justice and equality for all people, as well as the platform for student government at the University of Michigan-Flint, and affirms that the University of Michigan is playing hypocrisy and betraying its stated commitment to justice and equality with these actions.
I now open the floor for any kind of questions or concerns.
Back.
In the topic of the resolution between the 8th and 9th citation, you used the example of the University of Johannesburg as an international university. I was wondering if they're saying specifically that university as an example.
Those were both, or the examples we used were just 2 of the, or it was one of the more well-known examples, and it was also included in the awards resolution they passed.
No, he had his hand up.
So the amendments I did send out to you, the majority of those were like fixing typos, and in that document, the green was things we were adding, and the red were things that we were subtracting. There was one that was kind of a major change, and it came from Vice Chair was concerned about not having a reference for safe in there. So the committee is proposing that we take out, whereas there was a report of a meeting between the Board of Regents and pro-Palestinian group Students Allied for Freedom and Equality, however, no demands were met. This further emphasizes the university is taking a pro-Israel stance. We're suggesting to replace that with, whereas university administration has responded to demands from Halal and a pro-Palestinian group, and has responded to demands from Halal and pro-Palestinian groups Students Allied for Freedom and Equality in an inconsistent manner. In response to the discipline of Associate Professor Cheney Lippold, SAFE released a statement saying SAFE would like to question the speed and force with the university administration and campus community, in which the university administration and campus community condemned Professor Cheney Lippold. For years, students at the University of Michigan have been consistently targeted on international political blacklists for standing up for Palestinian human rights. We have brought the blacklist to the attention of our administrators repeatedly. There has been no university statement on the matter. So we wanted to change that just because we think that provides a reference for the differences in how the university has reacted to demands from Halal.
Dr. Arwaj.
So, to my understanding, the green part is the newly added part, right?
Yes.
So it mentions that the University of Michigan have been consistently targeted on international political blacklists for standing up. Are there any proofs or anything in the document that shows that? Or
Not in that specific statement. I can't say, and I cannot think of it off the top of my head, but there is a political blacklist site that has blacklisted students from the University of Michigan who allow and other organizations have considered them being anti-Semitic because of their pro-Palestinian efforts.
Vice Chair Shuffleboard.
I mean, we've spent a lot of time discussing this resolution itself, and it's gotten to the point where it is, I believe, unbiased at all, fair to both sides. It discusses the things that need to be discussed, and my personal thought is that we should go ahead and proceed with it.
I just,
Director Benson.
Yeah.
Sorry, Director Badawash.
I just had a quick comment. I was just to respond to Vice Chair Chakraborty that I think this is an important resolution, and if there is more input needed, then there should be more discussion.
Director Salisbury.
I just want to make sure, can everybody in the audience read the green? Is it too light for everybody, or is it like good to read? Just want to make sure.
Vice Chair Shuffleboard.
I mean, I'm not saying that this is not an important resolution and we shouldn't take time, but we have actually thought about it for a long time. We've made the amendment necessary. We've gotten to the point where I look at it and it's a very unbiased situation, and we have a comment about what we actually felt at the Senate meeting. True, I'm assuming most of my senators will agree what the general consensus was, and I'm assuming that's what happened in the director meetings as well. But if there is something to add, please go ahead.
Senator O'Connor.
H2, paragraph 5. Do you think it's necessary to add the statement by the president of the ASA?
So.
Director Ogle.
We think it's necessary to add the statement because the ASA is it's kind of like a chain of events. So Lippold didn't write the letter because of his participation in the boycott. He participated in the boycott because of his participation in ASA, and ASA sponsors the boycott because of that statement. So it just fully explains the reasoning of why he took the actions that he took.
So is this the professor's point of view, or is it the organization that he's a part of?
It's the official statement from the organization he's a part of that the professor directly cited as the reason why he took his actions.
I mean, what are we supporting the professor's right to his own personal political view?
Yes.
Or just because he's part of that organization, that's a statement he made?
He referenced the organization. When asked why he participates in the boycott, he mentioned the organization ASA. And then this is what ASA has to say about the boycott.
Any other questions, comments? Director Badawash.
I asked this question previously, but just in case people were not here, I'd like to ask it again. Is the student body well informed apart from minutes, or do we have any documented records for if they would like for this resolution to go ahead or not?
Director Ogle.
Members of the committee that was formed to write this resolution have individually talked to the students of their own accord and kind of try to gather some of the general opinion of the students. We don't have any documented responses, so any sort of official surveys that we sent out. And we don't believe that it's necessary to have documented student opinion on this because of the reason is that we are elected by the student officials. No matter what your position, or by students, no matter what your position is, you had to have a large number of students support you toward your position. So you speak for the students that you represent. And everyone in the committee and everyone in student government is doing what they think is best for the student body and trying to accurately represent the students as best as possible.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments on this?
I'd also like to mention that in every single student that we spoke to from the committee, we spoke to said that they didn't agree with the university's actions against the professor. We didn't have a single student that said that they supported the university in this matter. I mean, their degree of disapproval of the university varied, but they were all in kind of unanimous agreement that the university's actions were somewhat uncalled for.
Director Bhadwaj.
I would personally like to say that in my personal opinion, I definitely agree that the actions by the university were not, that it should have been. But I also believe that mentioning, and I've asked this before, that mentioning different organizations doesn't necessarily needs to be in the resolution, just to stir a political debate of some sort. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion on the resolution.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll say floor is not closed. Yes, I entertain a motion to adopt resolution, set a resolution.
Point of order, I think you have to do a vote on the minutes first.
Yeah, we're really
I entertain a motion to amend Senate Resolution 2019-01. Senator Carter,
I move to approve the amendments to Senate Resolution 2019-001 as presented.
is there a second? Vice Chair Chocobo, please.
I second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay. I now entertain a motion to adopt Senate Resolution 2019-001 as amended. Vice Chair Chocobo, please.
I motion to adopt Senate Resolution 2019-001 as amended.
Is there a second?
I se-
Senator Lee.
I second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The Senate Resolution 2019-001 passed.
Yes, amended.
Okay, so moving on to appointment of members. I would like to yield the floor to Angela Wang, but I would also like Sierra Sturgeon and Chase Morris to leave the room. We'll call you in. Thank you. Okay, so I now yield the floor to Angela Wang for Senate to interview her in order to be appointed into the Ganga Jar administration. Could you please raise your right hand for questions?
So are you interested in student government?
So I just came around campus and talking with peers and other students about various issues that they've come across that I've had friends talk about. For instance, one time he was being bullied by some of her nursing cohorts, and I told her she should go talk to the head of the department, teachers, stuff like that. And she said that she talked to higher ups in the department, and they just said, oh, it's part of life, stuff like that. And it just irked me, and it just encouraged me to if I see stuff going wrong on campus, to try to think about it. And a few years ago, we had a tri-campus summit, in February 2016, And I saw, flyers, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And it was just an awesome experience working with Cleveland students from Dearborn and Ann Arbor. That the following year, there was an advertisement for, a female stuff looking for transgender fellows. And so I applied for the position, and I was one of two representatives from this campus, and there was two representatives from Dearborn and Ann Arbor. And over that summer, we would meet up, and we were planning the upcoming summit, and just being able to collaborate and being able to share what each of our campuses could provide and the things that we face. It just inspires me to do more, work more on things for our campus. And I guess I went a long way about it. Being able to be on student government will be able to give me the resources to make changes.
Do you have any specific ideas about what changes you'd like to make?
For me, mental health awareness. I mean, some of us, we all face anxiety, stress, just as a student or even home life, stuff like that. And a lot of us are able to deal with it, but some of us are not. While I was going around getting my signatures for this, I was like, so why do you want to be part of it? I said, well, mental health awareness. That's one thing that I'm really passionate about. And I hear like things fantastic do that. And I hear from a lot of people that CAPS is really overworked. There's only a few counselors, and they're like, one of my peers, she's really stressed out in our course, and she goes, seek counseling. It's really helpful. She goes, I tried. She goes, they said it's going to be a while. Well, for someone that may be in crisis, a while may be too late. So, I would like to, if I get this position, I would like to try to work on things to see what we can do to improve this.
Thank you. Senator Carr? Thanks. Any other questions?
This is a time commitment thing as well. Assuming you will have enough time.
Yes. So I would like to, so I am a mother of a 4-year-old. That takes time. I also know that I want to make this commitment to help make changes. For example, this week, we planned a family vacation. But I knew that this was happening tonight. So I made a sacrifice to not go on this family trip so that I could be here. And I will make it up to my son another time. So, yes.
Any other questions? Director Ogle.
I was just wondering, what strengths do you think you can bring to the position to be able to, what do you personally think that you bring to this position?
I'd say experience. I'm a non-traditional student. So I've seen lots of things. Even, for example, I did my undergrad here. I'm now a graduate student. I've seen changes over this campus. So I believe I've also made relationships with faculty and other students, and I keep making new relationships with incoming students. So I believe this experience on campus and life experience will allow me to help this campus thrive.
Thank you. Angela, I'll ask you to please step out while Senate make their decision on appointment. Sure. Thank you. Yeah, come be the next candidate. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, let's. I don't know about y'all, but I'm over it.
Hi, and now yield the floor to Sarah Sturgeon for setting to interview her in order to be appointed into the Ghana Jar position. Vice Director. Oh my God.
Hi. So how do you plan on involving and hearing out the Michigan-Flint campus and what your future plans are?
Outreach to the students is really fun part of this job, especially since you're representing them. So I feel like we could take several different steps to actually hear their voices and everything. Email is great and all, but like a lot of people look at the like student-wide emails and are like, okay, bye. So I feel like targeting like different people like individually as like, hey, like you're in this club, like what's your opinions on certain things, like targeting individuals more than widespread. Like that'll get us more information and like more participants.
Senator Carter.
Also, wondering if you could detail any previous leadership experience you've had.
I'm currently a resident advisor at the campus residence hall, so I'm in actually a leadership role, being in charge of the residence hall as a whole. Also taking care of and fixing any problems that any residents might have. I'm on duty once or twice a week, like in charge of the residence halls. I'm quick on my feet because like I know the residence hall like the back of my hand. I walk it every other night, all 16 floors. So I got really quickly. I'm also in a sorority Big Phi Alpha. I have leadership roles now. I was a social care, so I planned events and everything last semester. Yeah.
Director Owen.
I was just wondering, what do you think will be the most difficult part of the position for you?
That's a very interesting question. I guess trying to get the angle on everything, like being able to understand like what others are talking about, like having all of that information from so many sources, like just trying to not spread myself too thin.
Director Salisbury.
So working with others is a crucial aspect of that. So could you speak on your experience working in a team dynamic?
Yes, of course. I have great teamwork skills, honestly. As a resident advisor, we work with the other residence hall and our co-workers, other residents, advisors on other floors to create environment and community within residence halls. So we have to work together in order to create that certain aesthetic that we all would like during the residence hall. So we work together in different programs, different events that we want to do, what information we should be relaying to the residents. So we work together close-knit like that.
Senator Martin.
So you mentioned you're a resident advisor, and then you said you have nights where you're on duty.
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk all 16 floors, and then I know you have to put up events at the residence hall, and then there's check-ins, check-outs, and all that. So this would require two days of the week for you to be here at night. Do you think your resident advisor job would kind of like be an issue for this?
Oh, of course not. I already know my schedule for the rest of the semester, and I've already based it off of my schedule like in organizations that like would like to or are like currently in. So time commitment is no issue.
At all?
No.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Okay, so, Vice Director.
Sorry for the wait. So you said that you want to reach out to people on an individual basis. Do you have any idea of which students you would reach out to? Is there a specific demographic that you plan to reach out to? Because this is a community campus. And at the end of the day, we do have lower student outreach or student participation. Any like specific plans?
It may depend on what I'm reaching out to them about. Different events that may require like more people. If they're interested, I'd be like, hey, this certain major or this certain organization would be interested, maybe reach out to them. Or if we would like to get more outreach to all of them, maybe send a student-wide email and then check in with like certain people in order to like see what they think about our communication with them.
Every senator is meant to have a caucus. It's like a project to that for either the year or the semester. Do you have one in mind?
I have a few. I'm not sure which one I would be most interested in implementing. So I'm excited to hear all of your guys' so that I could get more of a handle on mine.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
We'll call you in. We will call you in when we got voted on this.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Three spots. There's more than 3 spots.
And now yield the floor to Chase Morris for studying to interview him in order to be appointed into Ghana General Administration. Raise your hand. Senator Kennedy.
Yes, I was just wondering if you could detail any previous leadership roles you may have had.
Okay, so in my time at this university, I have become the current acting vice president of the chemistry club on campus. So I already have the experience of filling out and filing reports for national awards, as well as setting up demos, which some of you guys have heard about, as well as running meetings. In addition to that, I have since risen to become vice president of Theta Chi fraternity, so I am Nick's vice president, where Nick can agree with this, where I also have risen to direct many committees, make sure committees are active, and serve as basically the chief coordinator of internal communications. Outside of that, the fun leadership role that I have taken actually in my extracurricular activities is I actually served as a shot caller for an Overwatch esports team, which basically meant that I was the guy that would tell people to engage or disengage. So I'm really good at yelling at people to actually make sure they're doing stuff, but like in a constructive manner.
Director O'Ken.
What was the first thing you were doing tonight?
One of the main things that I want to wish to do is actually just continue what you guys are doing, because I absolutely love what you guys are doing, with the way the campus is changing and everything. But some of the minor things that I do wish to actually bring is I've noticed that over the course of the 3 years that I've been here, they got rid of the dam, but they kind of tore up all the trees and everything, and they just kind of left it, which I understand right now, there isn't a whole lot we can do about that, but to at least lay the groundwork for the plans to actually make Central Campus a lot more appealing to people, as well as just serving as like a general voice to the entirety of the west side of MSP, which I don't know if any of you guys are really over there with all the changes that are coming. So I really do wish to continue what you guys are doing.
So, do you think that would be a personal project if you came on to student government?
I can take it under as a personal project, but I will admit there are some of the internal workings of student government that I haven't fully understand, which I will then quickly adapt to. So, but yes, if that is an option as a personal project, I would definitely love to undertake that.
Director Sainsbury.
How do you plan on involving and hearing out the student body on issues?
One of the big things I really do wish to do is actually become more transparent with a lot of the students and actually make sure a lot of people are aware that I'm on student government. So I will try my best to actually go out and speak to them rather than sit or like, not to diss on you guys or anything, but like sit in the loft type thing and hope that they come to me. I will hopefully be able to like at least wander about campus to kind of just gauge general interest in certain projects and issues with campus.
Life's a difficult thing.
We seem generally pretty busy with your schedule so far, but you will be able to make time for this, right?
Yes.
Senator Carter.
I know you posed my question again.
You can read your mind. Director Bhagwan.
What do you hope to gain personally through student government experience?
Obviously, it helps my resume, if we're gonna be honest, that's one of the big things. But also just, I really do actually want the experience of seeing how different organizations actually run at a higher level and actually being more involved on this campus, because I've seen things on this campus and was actually driven to run because of the way I was seeing things were running. So I actually do want to see how this site actually is functioning towards all the other issues that I see on campus. Some are obviously, I understand, are not anything to do with you guys, but to actually just get in here, get an understanding for how things actually run on this level, as well as bumping my resume.
Thank you. I close the floor for any more questions. Can you please step out so Senate can have discussion on appointment? Thank you.
This is Linda's.
Okay, thank you. And I use the floor to swear in the new senators to the oath of office I'm going to do right now.
Which means you've all been approved to be senators.
Yay. So I state your name, do solemnly affirm
Do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of senator
the duties of the office of senator
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
enforce and observe the Constitution
enforce and observe the Constitution
and unified student code
and unified student code
of student government of the University of Michigan-Flint.
of student government of the University of Michigan.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Congratulations! Okay. So before I open the floor to any comments, questions, and consent from the senators and director, are there any from the audience? Okay. Any comment, questions from senators, directors? Advisory time?
I'm requesting a brief closed session at the end of this meeting, no more than 5 minutes.
Thank you. Oh, no, Vice Chair Bowling.
This is for Director Salisbury. So if somebody uses both the Michigan-Flint and the English email, so the Outlook and the Google services, when they do you have any idea how that will work?
So right now you can use the Google services just without Gmail. It's just once you're transitioned, you're not going to be using Outlook anymore. It's just you're going to be using Gmail. So that the activation portion that you speak of is just the mail portion.
I mean, I can currently use the Gmail for the version.
If you're affiliated with the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.
I believe all research assistants can. So what will happen then?
It'll just be the same.
So they'll just merge and you can have access to both email or groups of emails in one.
Yeah, I'd have to double check, but if you have an already existing mailbox in Gmail, it should merge because it will become the same account.
Okay.
Director Bajaj?
I was approached by the chair of computer science department in College of Arts and Sciences to advertise a data poster competition. This will be taking place on March 15th. So if anyone's interested, please go to computer science website.
When is the due date?
Due date, but you have to be registered by March.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
If you have more questions, please talk to me.
Okay, so I have an announcement. The Special Advice Committee is having a town hall meeting on Tuesday in Kiva at 9 a.m. till 10:30. So please be there if you can. We need your input on the new chancellor. Also, next week, Wednesday, February 27th, UMA will be at the auditorium, Hill Auditorium in an hour. There are still free tickets and a bus ride to go there. So if you need, if you would like to go there, please let me know. February, the next day, Thursday, there's a free event that UMA is hosting at the Burston Fieldhouse at 4 p.m. We need volunteers. I'm volunteering as well. If you can volunteer, please let me know before our meeting, so I think you guys can. So, yes, Cordia.
That would be nice if we volunteer.
So the volunteering is from 2:30, I want to say 7 something, but I'm volunteering from 2:30 to 4, so you can select what time. Just let me know, so I can inform Jen Hogan. Okay,
I will be.
thank you. Anyone want to volunteer, if you don't want to say it out loud right now, you can talk about it. All right, we got it, yeah. Any more comments? Yeah, Director Wu.
Yeah, I would just like to speak with people for like 2 minutes after this about the changes to the USD for the attorney session.
All right. Director, oh my God.
I'm not getting senator reports and, I think most of the directors like open it inside and everything, but I'm actually not getting a lot of, senator reports. So if you can, for next week, if you don't have a report, please email me or Slack message me, this information, whether you have a report or not, and please include your office hours every week.
Okay. Senator,
Are we supposed to include our office hours on the report?
yes. Now, yes. The reason why is because we're not seeing people doing office hours. It counts, I mean, it is in our, in the president code that you have to do office hours. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? All right. Meeting adjourned at 7:57. Close meeting, oh, I'm sorry. Get that.